All right, tonight on the breakdown, we're going to analyze Brazil zero. Sorry, not Brazil, because that's how we made Norwich look today, like damn well prime Brazil, right? But anyway, Norwich zero, Manchester United one. Let's do this. Big Phil here for the United Hour, and on tonight's segment, we're going to look at we're going to break down the Norwich and Manchester United fixture that happened earlier today. But as always, I'm not going to do it by myself. I'm joined with one and only the ref.
What's
We're
up?
here with Devin Walker, Texas Ranger. I'm here with Mikel Antonio. And last but by no means least, the one and only Greg B. Guys, welcome to the breakdown. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to analyze this match. And without further ado, let's just get straight into it, right? Now,
little extra sound effects today. What's going on there?
that was not part of it, but we move, right? Now, going into this Norwich match, we were probably excited based on the performance that the team put forth versus Crystal Palace. So versus Crystal Palace, we saw the intensity, we saw the pressing, we saw the cohesion. And, going into this Norwich match, we thought we would have been given the exact same thing. I'll stop it there and I'll bring Ref. Ref, what did you think of, let's say first, the lineup?
This was another expected lineup. I am glad that Tellez and Dalo are getting extended runs for whatever reason. I don't know if Ragnick likes their style of play. I don't know if he's telling Luke and Spider One, look, you had to earn your spot right now because you thought your spot was safe. But whatever the case is, I'm glad that Dalo and Tellez are getting extended runs in the team. Outside of that, yeah, okay. I've seen the squad before.
No. Devin, with regards to Macfred starting, Tellez starting, and also Dalo, would you have made any changes to the starting lineup, or were you comfortable with that lineup that was put out today?
I was actually 100% comfortable with that lineup. It was actually, if you do United predictions on their app, I actually called this lineup spot on. I got every single position correct. And so it was exactly what I was expecting from the get-go.
Perfect. Mr. Tonio, any changes would you have made to the lineup, or were you comfortable with that lineup today?
No, I was comfortable with the lineup simply because, as Ralph said last week, these were probably the first group or the first team that he saw play, against Arsenal on that Thursday, and he was comfortable with the output that they gave and the organization that they had. So I think he expected much of the same, just like we played against Crystal Palace. I think he expected more of the same today and was sorely disappointed. Sorely disappointed.
Last but by no means least, Greg B. Comfortable with the lineup or any changes made?
Honestly, I'm still kind of a big advocate for giving Donny van de Beek more games with the first team because I want to see how he really plays with that group. Ref, stop it. Stop it. The Champions League game was clearly that he was not playing with the first team there. The majority of those players were French players. But in retrospect, outside of that, I really didn't have an issue with this team. Like Tonio and Devin all said, this was something that he was accustomed seeing, so he was kind of getting familiar with them and seeing them in another different scenario, a different style of play to Crystal Palace. And honestly, I'm guessing he would have watched that and said to himself, this clearly needs a lot more work, because you could see there's a bit of discomfort still when it came to executing certain things. I mean, we could get into it even more, but there were so much wasted opportunities in possession that really kind of frustrated many of us, and it really just kind of left us. So I mean, there were instances I almost dozed off during the first half, and I'm just like, what's going on here? That's to tell you how bad it was.
Yeah. we'll get into the performance later on in the program. If you're now tuning in, please please subscribe, and this is the breakdown under the United Hour. With regards to the starting lineup, I saw that lineup coming because that was the lineup that we played versus Crystal Palace a week ago, and we looked very comfortable in terms of pressing, being organized, right? So I'm not surprised that Ralph put out that lineup. No, here's the big question. I could start with Greg B and go back around, right? The performance today versus the performance versus Crystal Palace. Talk to me.
I mean, it's like you said at the start. We made Norwich look like prime Brazil, minus the finishing. And it was just, I saw balls being knocked around. I saw Fred McTominay. I mean, I can't knock too much their performance because they didn't have too much of a bad game. But the front three especially, Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho was probably the least worst out of that bunch. But Rashford in particular, I'm like, what is wrong with you today? Every single pass was just either too short, too long, badly overhit at times. I'm like, you still injured or something? Because it was just, to my mind, like, how are you not getting these things executed? Bruno, I think he probably just needs some rest because I don't know if it's burnout, I don't know if it's just mental fatigue, I don't know if it's just because Ronaldo's there, he just feels the need to have to step up, but he's been poor. Piss poor. And I'm just watching it and I'm saying to myself, it's like, this is not the same guy who has been bailing us out in a lot of previous games. And I think to myself, it's like a change is really needed. Or I don't know if it's probably they're still getting acclimatized to this new system and it's really throwing off their initial game. But like somebody said, I think it was Ken, I think this looked like a first half of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer football. And it as damning as a statement as that is. I mean, if you look at the previous games before Ole got sacked, it was a similar stance. We started lethargic, we started helter-skelter, we weren't too sure what we wanted to do with the ball at times, and it irritates me that we really want to try and improve, and yet there's still certain signs that are still lingering, and that has to change and fast.
I could come to Mikel Antonio. Just to allude to what Greg B said, it almost looked like an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer performance. Let me ask you one question, Antonio. You watched the game versus Crystal Palace, right?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. How did you find the performance versus Crystal Palace? At least the first 20 minutes.
I would say in contrast, this is, even though we won against Crystal Palace with the same scoreline, there was a big difference in the game. After the first 20 minutes, you saw the pressing, you saw the intensity. The guys were hunting down players in packs, working as a team. And we didn't see any of that today. It was completely disjointed. And I was completely bewildered simply because it's like the majority of these players had an entire week off. A majority of these players had an entire week off, so we expected a certain level of intensity, a certain level of pressing today, a certain level of team effort, and it just was not there. The front three, leading from the front, I have no idea what is going on with Marcus Rashford, but he keeps showing me that his level of football intelligence is very, very, very low. Sancho continues to complement Ronaldo much better than Rashford does, and I guess it's because, as I said, Rashford's IQ seems to not be developing as he would like it to be because it was abysmal today. The amount of times I saw him give away the ball, I mean, the likes of Bruno, we've seen this type of performance from Bruno before, so we kind of understand. But with Marcus, I'm not understanding how his level of team play works in his mind, because 9 out of 10 times if Rashford gets the ball by himself, if he's by himself or if he's double teamed, he's going to lose the ball. You understand? And it's becoming a problem that it's glaring. It really is glaring, and something that we have to rectify.
No. Marcus Rashford, in my opinion, was dreadful today. As I said in my match reaction, I think he's still looking to feed children, but he's not looking to feed our team. Right?
Damn right.
Devin, something that Tonio said, Devin, none of this starting 11 played in the Champions League on Wednesday. Correct. Which means they had a week to rest, Devin. What happened today?
So I've been torn about this, trying to figure out what went wrong today. We were outpressed by Norwich, and there is no sugarcoating that. it was. I'm starting to believe that first match that they went out there and they played their all, that they were doing that simply trying to impress the manager. And I'm actually starting to wonder if there's a little bit of a complacency within the squad, because there is no reason why we went for, it was like a Jekyll and Hyde performance. There's no reason why we went from pressing so hard and doing so well versus Crystal Palace to needing a very questionable penalty call to win this match and getting outpressed by Norwich today.
Oh boy, ref.
What's up?
Give me in about 2 minutes your assessment.
Assessment of the match.
Yeah, because like I said, like Greg B said, we made Norwich, the team in yellow and green, look like Brazil.
Minus the finishing.
I knew we were going to win the game. We were going to win the game. I did not expect how we were going to win the game. And this brings me to this question: what do you guys want? Now, was it this yours in local terms, your mama Guyana? Because it looked great one day. Now, bear in mind, not taking away anything from Crystal Palace or Norwich, but the 11 that was out there, still, I mean, it was like, yes, this is what we're looking for. This is where we go when we finally have an idea of what we want to do. And all those players took a week off and came back, and was like, we struggled to get even to second game. And this is one of my major critiques of the United squad of late, is that we take too long to start and we take too long to switch gears. So we got it, and honestly, this brings me back to this, that we had to get the result by hook or by crook. We had to get the result, and this was one of those hook or by crook games. It wasn't pretty, but we got the 3 points.
Let me ask the question, ref. Was it a penalty? No, be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest. If it was a penalty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason why I answered it like that is because it was one of those calls that could have gone both ways. If it wasn't a penalty, it wouldn't be a problem. But if it was a penalty, it's really not a problem. So it's like,
okay.
It was like, really? All right, fine, penalty.
Yeah. My take on the game was that I honestly did not see how we were going to score a goal. It's almost like we were back under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where we had to rely on individual brilliance. We had to rely on a single moment, right? But today was definitely not what I expected. I was so shocked within the first 10 minutes. I'm not going to lie. When we kicked off the ball, I expected CR, Rashford, Sancho to be pressing, and I saw none of that intensity today. It's almost like last week was a fluke, right? Like I said, if you're now tuning in, please like and subscribe to the United Hour. We're going to go through a couple of comments before we take it back to the panel. Welcome, Chad. This is the most crappy win ever, but we taking it. Yep, it's true. Before I go on to the comments, though, I remember Darren was asking with regards to results versus performances. What did you think about that today? Right now, before I know Darren and Antonio were at it a couple of months ago with that, right? I will touch a little bit on that later on in the program. Akil D. Cyrus, thanks for joining. Poor game today, 3 points nonetheless.
Agree.
Yep.
Agree.
Thanks, President Chad again. Scott was our best player for most of the game.
One of two.
It's actually true.
I'm gonna slightly disagree, and I'll tell you who was my best player.
De Gea.
Believe it or not,
Obviously.
De Gea.
believe it or not,
Right.
Harry Maguire was our best player today.
Hold up. Wait. Are we in the Twilight Zone? Did Big Phil just compliment Harry Maguire on a performance?
Yes,
We moved back to the comment.
No, run from this. Do not run from this.
We moved to the comment.
Devin, how soon can you get across to Canada? Because I think you need to get Phil to get tested for COVID. I think it's not just taking.
Wow.
Right, so Carlton is saying
It was last week that we had people praising Fred on here as well too, and you can go back weeks before. So it happens. Players have good performances every once in a while. Now
I'm still gonna say it. I'm still gonna say it. Phil, apologize to that man.
Now, don't get me wrong. Harry
Players
Maguire has been playing decent for the last 3 to 4 games. That's all I will say, right? But I think he was our best player today, right?
over De Gea. Over De Gea.
Over De Gea.
Nah, not over there. Not over there.
There is no way that he played. De
Gea played out of his son.
Absolutely not. Because if you had somebody else in there, we would have lost that match.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
True, I agree. Let's go to Patterson. Thanks for joining. Hi, good evening. I was looking for the pressing game today. Yep, it's true, and I didn't see it. Correct. I believe the coach didn't implement it. The pressing game. Why?
I don't think that was down to the coach.
I disagree with that last part, but I agree with the first part.
I really don't think that was down to the coach. I think the players just lacked the execution today because they were a step behind in a lot of things when you looked at how they played.
I think that Crystal Palace match was kind of like, okay, it's a new coach boost. We got to go out there and impress.
Yeah.
We go out and then they ran out of steam, and I feel that some of the players were a little afraid of doing that again. And this match,
afraid of doing that to Norwich of all teams.
Well, remember also Norwich came out with no fear, and they came out pressing as well too. So the players were already tired to begin with as well, trying to get rid of that. And so finally, when the team get the ball, it was maybe they were trying to recover, or maybe they were afraid of making a mistake because they knew that Norwich was coming, and they were playing with no fear.
We can move on to some other comments before we go back to the panel. Carlton is saying our pressing didn't work because the personnel leading the press changed. Really? Didn't we have Ronaldo, Rashford, and Sancho against Crystal Palace as well? Today, Bruno was leading. Where was Fred? Bruno is not good at press. Whoa, I disagree with that. I'm not the biggest fan of Bruno. Bruno is actually one of our players who presses a lot. So he runs towards the keeper, then drops back. Carlton is saying when Fred is leading the press, we are successful.
Yeah, okay. Fred didn't have the worst game, but he didn't have the most outstanding of games like before. So I mean, I'm kind of not sure what Carlton's seeing, but
it's kind of hard to because he was man of the match the last match, and I didn't think he had a bad match today. It just was not on the same. It was not on the same levels as he had the match before, but it was not a bad match.
Yeah, that's it. That is it.
Right. Kendall is saying last game we were like
Champions League match.
I think he's referring to the Young Boys game.
I hope he doesn't mean Crystal Palace.
But I don't look that much into the Young Boys match because that was normally
that was a nothing game. So it's like that's not something you really hold accountable to anybody for. That was really like a nothing game, and you notice there were mainly youngsters in that team, French players and youngsters. Today was like Mad Ants trying to attack too fast and doing rubbish. We needed to slow down just a bit. We fought hard though. Scott and David were solid.
All right, wait, hold on. Before you go to the next comment, Kendall, he responded saying he was referring to the Young Boys match. So
yeah, I saw.
I say none of us really give any big take on that Young Boys match because that is not the starting 11. That was a chance to give players minutes who don't normally get minutes. And you can see
even during that Champions League fixture, I was more focused on Barca and Bayern Munich. But that's another discussion for another time.
So how many of your Barca friends did you attack?
Oh boy. Patterson, today was the wasted game I see Manchester United play for the longest time. David De Gea was the best player all game. Carlton is saying the guys reverted to Ole ball. Yep. I think that's what Antonio mentioned, right? We didn't quick passing like we saw versus Crystal Palace.
I think you meant we didn't do the quick passing. That's what you're
yeah. Norwich coach best beat us with Villa. And came at us with the same strategy, and it worked. Scary. And yep, Kendall's referring to the Young Boys game. And last comment, the guys played flat. The guy that played was De Gea. Rangnick will turn up the wick now.
I also think Nick deserves good praise for that match as well too.
Who?
I got a question.
Okay.
Because I got asked this question, and then we will move on to the player ratings.
Oh Lord.
No, it's not. It's a question that is based on the result and the result today with the performance, as well as a little spat that happened between the ref Antonio, I think last month, right? Now, I can start with the ref first.
What's up,
ref? For the next 6 months, if we had to take that performance and that result, just one love, would you accept that?
I will prioritize a win over performance any day. Get the job done. Get the job done. Once you get the job done, that's what people are looking for first. They would get into the technicalities and the nitty gritties and the nitpicking after. But I haven't I haven't heard or seen any sort of award for the most attractive football or the most attractive title defense. I have seen fair play awards. I have seen best goalkeeper, best attacking. They didn't even make an award for Lewandowski because I feel bad for him, but I saw it. But I have never seen an award for best style of play or prettiest pass.
Agree.
So if I am to take 1-0 going through to the end of the season, I will feel good knowing that I have won every game from now to the end of the season.
That's a fair assessment, right?
So I only have one criticism of that. If you're taking 1-0 like that when you had the opportunity to score more, don't forget what the first tiebreaker is. Goal difference. You have this opportunity to score these goals, and you don't capitalize on them, but you're still getting results. That you in the end, which happened to us in 2012. And so
I understand that. When we see the score at the last, I'm excused. I'll take the score.
I'm very adamant when you have your opportunity to score goals, especially against a relegation side who realistically is going to have it very tough to stay up. You need to take advantage and score as many goals as you can because you know the other teams are going to be scoring enough goals, and I don't ever want to lose the title on goal differential again.
What about you, Tonio? Performance and would you take a performance like this and one loves from now to the rest of the season?
It depends on. It's a very tricky question, and I'll tell you why. Under Ole, I had an issue with the results over performance simply because if a manager is in a position for over 3 years, I would expect that there should be certain level of performances from that particular team. With Ralph coming in now, his main thing is we need to get the results. Results are more important for us now than the team's performance. So we're going to take these 3 points. If it's one love till the end of the season, that's fine. But you still need to see the football progressing and the football being better. As Devin said, you cannot be playing in a game like this and creating all those opportunities and not taking those chances because I believe that we as a team aren't clinical enough as yet. And against teams like Norwich, you have to punish these teams. I started off watching this game this morning and I felt excited before the game even started, and within 5 minutes I was like, what is going on here? Because it was a complete different team than what we saw. But definitely the result was more important than the performance today and going forward because we don't want to fall too far behind the top three currently. So we have to sacrifice the performance in a sense in order to get the results. So if I'm taking one love for the rest of the season, we continue building, then I'm definitely doing that because you always have to put things into perspective. So I would agree with the ref.
Let me ask you one question, Tonio. Does the performance go out the window, let's say, in a certain aspect of the game? Let's say come to the 70th minute or the 65th minute?
Yeah, sometimes when you're like, definitely today, the last 20 minutes of the game is almost like if we were trying to hand Norwich a draw or hand them back away into the game, and I couldn't understand it. So definitely, if the performance has to go out the window, the structure has to go out the window a bit, and all hands on deck, just making sure that we get those 3 points, then definitely it has to happen. It has to happen. Because you get the 3 points, you go back into the training room, you go back onto the field, and you keep working again, but you would have gotten the 3 points that you should have. So definitely, I fully agree with Ref.
Greg B. Same question to you before we go into the player ratings. One love performance from now to the end of the season. Sorry, one love result from now to the end of the season with that type of performance.
Let me just say this as clearly as possible we can. At the end of the day, this game we are in is in a results-driven business. So, as much as we may hate to see a style of play, take for example how many years we moaned about Jose Mourinho's style of football. It was too defensive, too lethargic, too much long balls. We a lot of I could tell you at least 2/3 of the fan base were ready to riot at some points if that style of football didn't change. But when the results came, in spite of the performances, people didn't complain much because at the end of the day,
Thank you.
we got the 3 points or we won the competition. You think about it from that perspective. If it means that we can scrap and get through and win a FA Cup or by a long shot win the Champions League with those very same performances that we know we can't stand, then I can assure you a lot of people are not going to make it as big of an issue than it really is, because at the end of the day, like Tonio said, with Solskjaer being there as long as he was, you would have expected the performances to improve. You would expect the team to have a bit of a chemistry. You expect them to have an understanding and learning each other and how to be cohesive as a unit. With Ralph only being here, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? That's going to take time. So it's not going to be implemented as quickly as people would expect. But if it means that it so happens that we get the results, we go to Anfield, we go to the Emirates, we go to the Etihad, and
Stamford Bridge, yeah.
we went to Stamford Bridge, we got a draw. But if they come to Old Trafford and we still manage to eke out victories against these teams in spite of the football being played, then hell, who am I to
So
complain?
you guys are trying to tell me that with the arsenal of Ronaldo, Sancho, Marcus Rashford, even Bruno Fernandes, you guys are willing to take one loves.
So let me
No.
rephrase what I was saying before. It was my biggest issue is goal differential. I will take 1-0s all day long in Champions League and FA Cup where we're at, as long as we keep
Okay,
it.
okay,
As
okay.
long as the away goal is out the window in Champions League now. But as
they-
long as we get the results to move on. My concern is that if we're eking out these 1-0 wins, especially with that Arsenal that we have right now, and the other teams that we're competing against are getting 2-3-0 wins, that's going to add up in the goal differential. And then at that
Of
point,
course.
okay, so yeah, we could beat them in their game, in their match, and we drop a game somewhere along the way. We end up being tight at the end of the day, but their goal differential is substantially better. That is my biggest concern right there.
That's true.
I gonna throw another spanner in the works, right?
Oh, Lord.
I can come to you, ref.
Yeah.
No, back to these one love wins. Football is 90 minutes. Let's say we score a goal in the second minute. What next? You're gonna accept that?
Yeah, this for me, all right. You have to know how to win. That is my thing. Even if because let's like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather knows how to win. You don't see Floyd knocking out people. You don't see Floyd being super aggressive. Floyd knows where to win and where do you win on the judge's scorecard. So he's going to do things to get his points up on his scorecard. And it is the same mentality across all facets of life. You just have to know how to get it done. Yes, you would have process, and yes, you want to do things in a cost-effective manner, or you want to lower your output to increase your input. No problem. That's just all technicalities. What people are looking for is results. Because if you score in the second minute, and the match goes into 90 plus 4, and we still dig out a win. You mean to tell me that a team could not have mustered a single goal in over 90 minutes? Because all we have to do is just outscore. No, you could go and say we could just outscore the opponents. And great, yeah, just do like what Liverpool did when in their title winning season, just banging goals. No, so and hope Van Dijk save us in the back. But it is no, I understand where Devin comes from in the Champions League and in the cup games. Because 1-0 in a Champions League, 1-0 Champions League final, you win. And in terms of the league, your goal difference is a serious factor. I understand that. If we are to win, and we have people with winning mentality, not every game is going to be a pretty game. You have to fight dirty certain games.
Ah,
You have to dig it out of the mud certain games. No, I am not saying that every game you have to dig it out the mud. Certain games will be easier than others. But there will come a point in time where we say, you know what? Win. Forget it and win. We'll see about it the next day.
I agree because I'm just going the extreme because I honestly do not expect one love obviously for every match until the end of the season. Right? But here's the thing. When May comes and my United Football Club is being engraved on the EPL trophy, I don't care. I honestly don't care because when if we had to lift that trophy come May, I'm good. I'm good. I'm laughing at Arsenal, laughing at Chelsea, laughing at Man City, laughing at Liverpool.
Very true.
I'm good. Right?
Very true.
Before we go into the player ratings, I'm going to get some comments onto the screen, and then we'll do the player ratings after. Where do I start? Scott was our best player. Yep, I had that already. Oh, I read these comments already. Let's start here. The guys played flat. The guy that played was De Gea. Ragnet will
yeah, you read that one too.
True. Fred had wonderful games on Nick Carrick as the main pressure. Boy, I honestly can't remember where I left off, honestly, man.
Take off them shades, Isaac Hayes.
David De Gea, 8.5. All others under 5. All right.
All right.
Carlton's being
That's
harsh.
harsh. That's harsh. That's harsh. That's harsh. That's harsh.
That's very harsh. That's very harsh. My name Harry Maguire.
Carlton, I didn't know were you drink or were you before this stream, but that was all I can say, right? President Chad, if we win every game from now until the end of the season, that's top 4, Champions League and FA Cup. I take in that. All right, cool. Let's not leave out that Norwich played hard football. They came to play.
True.
Carlton is saying, I saw Arsenal play for high intensity even when they were 2-0 up. There are no points for style. It's true. There are no points for style. What's good, Greg, and the rest of the last? Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. We are well. Legat Joseph is saying Ragnet talked about control. There was zero control today. Clive Jack is saying good point, ref. And we saw that today with City, Chelsea, and Liverpool in terms of digging deep for 3 points. Bruno gave me level migraines.
Yeah.
Oh, please, you're enjoying that comment, Phil. Don't try.
Anyway, let's get to the player rating. Let's get to the player rating. I'm going to start with you, ref, and I'm going to start with David De Gea. What do you give David De Gea out of 10? And give me a little explanation as to why.
I will give David 8. Being that we'd have lost this match heavily if it wasn't for him. That is the sole reason. 8. I'm going across the back line.
No, I go in one by one.
So right, okay.
Right. What about you, Devin? What do you give David De Gea?
8.5. You have to add it. You have to add in clean sheet and the saves that he did were.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Okay. Any? What about you, Greg and Antonio? Any change to the rating, or you guys agree with those with Darren and Devin?
I personally agree with the 8.5 because one of the words that I very rarely use with David is commanding. He's a lot of great things, but he's very rarely commanding, and he was commanding today. Crosses were coming in, he was holding them steady. He wasn't being shaken off the ball. So definitely I gave him an 8.5 today because I'm usually a critic of him also. But definitely an 8.5 today.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree with that because I mean, like Tonio said, it's like usually he's the kind of person he's very inverted. Like he's not really a kind of an outgoing person or outlandish in the way that he handles and controls. Today we saw a change in that, and it was like a monster came out of him today, especially with that save from Pookie. And I'm just like, how?
Yeah, I think the best save David De Gea pulled off was when Ozan Kabak out jumped Harry Maguire.
Oh wow!
I think that was one of his best saves. right?
Today,
All
what we
right.
had that. Yes, yes, yes.
I think all of us are in agreement that David De Gea had a pretty good game today. Let's
Yes.
go to the
Yeah.
wing. Let's go to the wing backs, and I go reverse. I'm gonna reverse. I can start with Greg B. Alex Telles and Diego Dallo. What's your rating for them out of 10?
Um, it wasn't a stellar performance, so I'm probably give Alex Telles like a 6.5 because he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great either. He had moments where he could have done better with a couple of passes, but he was fairly efficient in the way that he got forward. So 6.5.
Tonio?
I agree with Greg. I'd give Tellez 6.5 to 7 today. Basic performance wasn't really starring, wasn't really stellar. He was simply solid. He did his job today. He got forward. He even had the opportunity with the free kick, which was extremely close. He could have gotten on
Yes, I
the
forgot
score
about
sheet
that. Yes,
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm more than happy than anything else to see both him and Dallo in the team because, as I firmly believe, competition breeds success. So he'll get a 6.5 today.
facts.
Before I go to Devin and Ref, I gotta go through a little bit more comments. Kenton is saying can't have control when your midfielders can't hold onto the ball. President Chad is saying some people have a hard time saying Scott was one of the best outfield players today. I haven't rated anybody as yet. Daniela O'Connor is saying 10 out of 10 for David De Gea.
All right. Okay.
He would have needed
All
a
right.
performance like
Danielle O'Connor
something
said
like that.
eight for a clean sheet and an awesome saves. And then
Yeah.
two more comments. Carlton is saying Bruno is not the same since the Euros. Mourinho and others may have gotten to his head. And then Danielle is saying, I need to see this Rubik to understand why he lost the 1.5.
So I wanna address that one real quick because how hard is it for an outfield player to get a 10 out of 10 to begin with? You will have to score like a hat trick at a minimum to even be a 9.5.
Yep.
And so with that being said, he would have had to match the performance where I believe it was against Arsenal a few years back where he set like the Premier League record for saves in a match.
Yeah,
For
well, 18
saves,
saves.
correct.
Yeah.
For
Correct.
something like
Correct.
that to be close to the 10 out of 10.
Correct.
Yes, the saves that he did were incredible today, but for him to even get to like the 9, he would have to have also stopped a penalty in this match or something.
True. And some people may say, oh well, that's the job of a goalkeeper. You have to save, right? But it takes so much more, and it takes such a mental focus to
That's true.
be in the. It takes such a mental focus at a specific point of the game because your focus at the 3rd minute is different than your focus at the 83rd minute, right?
That's true.
Let me go to Devin and Ref. I could switch it up a bit. I could call the center back pairing Harry Maguire and Lindelof, but I could divide it. I could start with Lindelof first, and then I'll go to Harry Maguire. Devin, what's your thoughts on how Lindelof played today out of 10?
So when he was out there, he was very solid before the injury that he had. At that point, I would have said he was somewhere probably 6.5. And all I could do is go off the time that he was out there before he got injured. So I would leave it probably about a 6.5. Yeah, I'd say a 6.5.
Raf, Lindelof?
Same 6.5 due to the fact of his injury. You know, we really didn't see what he could have really brought to the match. It was, I mean, every time I see Lindelof, I'm like, what version are we going to get today? Are we going to get the slick passing, one-touch passing, through ball from 40 yards Lindelof, or are we going to get the easy eating cornflakes with cold milk Lindelof easily pushed off? Like, what are we going to get with Lindelof?
Are we going to get the Lindelof that was wearing his wife's dress that she made on Twitter? That Lindelof.
I don't know. Like, Lindelof is such an enigma to me. So, but today he was good. You know, on up until his unfortunate injury. So yeah, 6.5 is
Anybody have an update on that as regards like how his injury is?
I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen any article come up as yet.
Okay, all right.
Staying on you, Ref.
What's up?
Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire is that guy that you don't really have a choice to but to play because he was like the first one there. So you're like, all right, cool. Just put on a jersey.
Yeah, from hell, man. That's messed up.
No, because it's like you clearly know, okay, when Harry Maguire is on his game, now let me be fair to him. When he is on his game, he is a very commanding, physical player. When he
Thank you.
is on his game, in all fairness to him, today he didn't need to be, but there were times he got caught lacking position wise, and that kind of like threw me back to the Leicester game when he was rushed back onto the pitch and he gave away that goal, and we all know how that played out. So for today, Harry Maguire, I was still giving you a 6.5 because it wasn't bad. There were moments you had some commanding clearances, but that to me is par for the course for you, Harry Maguire.
Right.
Devin, what's your take on Harry Maguire's performance today out of 10? Today.
No, I'm trying to think my scale rating overall. Because I would say he was probably the third best player out there today. So I would have to give him a 7 today.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, cool.
Yeah.
So Harry Maguire gets a 7 from Devin and a 6.5 from Ruff. We're gonna switch to the midfield.
Here we go. Here we go. This one is perked up.
We are going to switch to the midfield. We're gonna start with the double pivot of Fred and Scott. Let's go to Mikel Antonio. How was your rating for Scott McTominay out of 10?
My rating for Scott today would be a 6.5 also, simply because he was pretty solid. He had one or two bad passes as he usually does, but he was pretty solid all around. I think that's the midfield had a hard time getting onto the ball in this game, which was rather than we giving up the ball, if you can understand what I'm saying. But definitely Scott had a decent game, and the reason why I'm giving him a 6.5 is because I'm giving Pastor Fred a 7.
Hey. Hey. All right.
So yeah, definitely.
I want to hear the reason for that.
Greg B. Greg B, what is your rating? Well, sorry, Tony. Tony, what's your reason for giving Pastor Fred the 7? Sorry.
My reason for giving Pastor Fred the 7 is simply because how many errors did Fred really make today? I saw Fred making some type of passes. I saw Brazil Fred today making some type of passes with confidence. They weren't short. They weren't, and for that alone, seeing him performing like that is why I gave him a 7, because he was probably, in terms of the two midfielders between him and Scott, he was probably the most reassured on the ball. The one still pressing, the one still hustling, the one still doing it necessary. And I mean, every opportunity that he got when he received the ball, he made good passes today, passes that I probably thought were a bit probably out of his range or his thought process. So that's why I gave him the 7 today.
Greg B, talk to me about Scott and Fred.
I'm kind of gonna echo Tonio's sentiments here on Fred, because honestly, I mean, the man has been. I call him an energy god, because it's like the guy is everywhere, and I literally mean like everywhere. Let me just do this. Shout out to Statman Dave for this. I mean, his game today, 91% accuracy, 75% long pass accuracy, 11 ground duels contested, 10 of them won. 7 out of 7 attempted tackles were successful. 2 out of 2 successful dribbles. The man was on his game. Let's be honest, and I think he's continuing to show the reassurance that Ralph probably has in him, because I think he kind of epitomizes. Okay, see Phil going now with that one, like he probably gonna scream or something, because he's like, "Why are we praising Fred here?" But it's like it kind of epitomizes what the kind of game that Ralph Ranieri wants to see from most of his players. Scott wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. I mean, there were a couple of passes that he made today. I watched him pass one to Bruno down on the left. I'm like, ooh, what Scott does? And there was a couple of instances where he tried a few flicks out his own. He actually gave one of the Norwich players a sombrero. I'm like, who robbed Scott by? So it was refreshing to see that they still tried to bring a level of energy. But like Tonio said, there were a couple of times that the way they were on the ball trying to get to it, they were second best in a lot of instances. But when they did get it, they were showing what exactly was expected of them, where they initiated and created passes, sprayed balls are all around to make sure that everybody could get into the game. So I would kind of like echo Tonio's sentiments, like I said. So Fred gets a 7. Scott will get the 6.5 because I mean they did their bit. They really did their bit.
All right. So sticking with Greg B.
Okay.
Panda, we are about to ask Greg B's rating on Bruno Fernandez.
No,
Are you
it's a
ready,
good
Panda?
thing it's a
Are
good
you
thing he
ready,
has that
Panda?
mask on
We are
because look at
asking
how close
Greg
he's
B
in the Panda's
on
face.
Bruno Fernandez
all
rating.
those
Okay?
drinks he had today.
Brace yourself, Panda, because I want to see what Greg B is going to say on Bruno Fernandez's performance today. Are you ready, Panda? All right, let us bring Greg B to the fore. Oh my God, let us do this here. Greg B,
Hey.
without further ado, what is
You're
Bruno
killing Panda with that
Fernandez
bad breath
rating
you got
today?
there, dude. Go brush your teeth. I think you're killing Panda with that bad breath you got there. You're only shouting in the party. Anyway, as much you got to stop watching this and thinking that because I like Bruno Fernandez, I'm going to be biased towards him. At the end of the day, if you have a bad performance, you have a bad performance, and Bruno had a very very bad game
Bad
for me
performance.
because it was watching it and I'm saying to myself, was like he wasn't sure what passes he wanted to make. There was a lot of decisions that he made were off. And I'm just looking at it and I'm saying to myself, like, Bruno, you're really not yourself today. Bruno gets Carlton saying a 4.5. I was even gonna go low. I was gonna give him like a 3.5 or something around there.
Oh,
Because I mean it was just like
Ooh.
it was one of those where I'm watching it and saying to myself, like, dude, what's going on with you today? You was it was kind of surprised. Like he was completely off the standard that Bruno Fernandez and a subpar Bruno Fernandez is usually a 5 or a 6, even a 7 at most times. He didn't even
Was
hit
worse
those levels
today.
today. He didn't hit those
Correct.
levels today at all. So I have to give him like a 3 or something. He was that bad for me.
Tonio, what's your thoughts on Bruno Fernandez's performance today?
Now, where's Panda? You
I was
you
get-
knocked him out, I'm sure.
I'll give Bruno. I'll give him a 4 today. I'll give him a 4. I'm not too sure if he's in a bit of a malaise simply because the one thing that followed him back from the Euros is a one sit in CR7. So I'm not sure if it's I think he needs to go and visit the new sports psychologist because my problem with Bruno during games is if you're realizing as a player that you're a bit off or you're not having the best of games, sometimes you will say, okay, let me keep my game a bit simple. Bruno continues to make the same errors, continues to try to make the same long passes that are either short or too long. You have to learn to adjust your game as a player, realize what type of game you're having, get yourself into some kind of rhythm. But he always seems like when he's going downhill, he continues to try to force it even more, and it makes him look. I saw him walking off today, and he looked upset. Like he actually looked upset that he was being
Because he
taken off of it.
knows.
He was grumbling. He knows
Because
he was
he
filled
knows, he
today.
knows.
He would have had to know. He would have had to know that he was filled today. And I'm sorry that it took Donny 86. It took him 86 minutes to see the field today because Bruno was poor for a very long time. So he'll get a 4 from me today.
Can we
Definite
just
4.
stop on that for a second? Because it feels like deja vu for Donny van der Beek right now. It's like, you're kind of under a new manager.
in a
And you say
way.
to yourself, like, you're expecting a new opportunity. And
In a way, Greg. But I think that is going to change over the next couple of weeks. For
I would
some
hope
reason,
so.
I think it's going
I
to
would
change.
hope so.
I think it's going to change. I think so.
Oh man. Moving on to the front three. I'll start with the ref, and I'll start with Marcus Rashford.
oh God.
Here we go.
Marcus Rashford gets a 3.5. Marcus Rashford has been poor not only today but for quite some time. And it's okay, Rashford. The bench is not your death sentence. Ask Van der Beek. He still comes off the bench.
But
So-
Van der Beek has never been a regular starter for United, though. That's the thing.
No problem. But Rashford hasn't played this poor for quite a while too.
True.
So and it's not just like it was just a one-off game and then he catch back form for 3 games. this has been going on even before the Arsenal game. So I'm not too sure if he is riding his wave right now. His wave of, the good Samaritan Rashford, or we know what he could do, so just put him out there and hope it happens. But his actual performances leaves a lot to be desired, and it comes to the point where, are we watching a repeat of our old manager, in that you're playing bad, but you're still getting games. You're still getting games, hoping that it works, rather than, okay, you know what, you're playing bad, sit down for a while, show me what you could do. So, and we do have the firepower on the bench. We have the Van der Beek, we have Lingard, we have, who else? Van der Beek, Lingard,
Ahmad, all those different guys.
Ahmad.
Greenwood.
I mean, Greenwood was a starter, and after COVID, Greenwood can't see that field yet. So we have options. So I'm not too sure if, giving people the rope, you have to know how much you're giving them the rope.
Mm-hmm.
So if Ralph is giving players their rope, no problem, and okay, I'll give you this. How I treat you in the future is based on what you do with what I give you. And I could understand that, because at times you need to do that. But you need to know when to yank your chain and be like, okay, that's enough. And Rashford is enough. It's like, come on, bro, just sit down for a while, no problem. Go and take some pictures, go do some PR. It's cool. You're still Rashford. It's cool.
This is Mr. MBE, so you have to put some respect on this. Dr. Marcus.
Yeah, Dr. Mark, nobody can take that away from you. But it's cool. It's cool, bro. If you want to do some more rehab on your shoulder, it's all right, bro. It's not a problem. But don't don't want to say that online. That slang is not internet friendly.
It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for
but when you're overdoing the situation, Trinidadians. Yeah, and Rashford reaching that point right now.
All right, we got 10 more minutes. Devon, touch on Sancho, and then we're gonna have the entire panel touch on CR. So Devon, touch on Sancho first.
So out of that front three, I thought Sancho was the player who did not disappoint the most, but at the same time, he also did not impress. And this is simply due to the ratings I've given other players as well. He's probably a 5.5 today, I would have to say, because to me he was just slightly a little bit better than average overall. And with that being said, I think a 5.5 is fair, and that pretty much tells you how I think Ronaldo played today, which I still can't believe I'm going to give him the rating I'm going to give him, because that's not like him. Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're on Ronaldo, Devin, you start on Cristiano Ronaldo's rating, and then I'll go to the other guys on the panel afterwards.
So to me, it's I can't believe I'm saying this about Ronaldo. To me, he was a 5. I thought like in the first half, he had that one opportunity where normal Ronaldo might have taken one touch and smashed it across the corner. Instead, he took a whole bunch of touches and tried to control it, and then after all that, shoots it right across. Right with his weak leg, right into Kuhl's hands. I know people said it was a good save from Kuhl, but it was right down the middle. That any keeper should be making that save to begin with. I thought that he was very wasteful in the final third, and it seemed like something was off from him today, because that is not the Ronaldo of normal, and I cannot for the life of me figure out what went wrong today. I fully expect a response on Tuesday.
I'm gonna come to Tonio. Now, Tonio, I know you're not one of Ronaldo's biggest fans, but at the end of the day, you still tell it like it is, right? Doesn't matter if you are on the same level as Ronaldo, or you're on the same level as whoever, right? Whether you're world class, whether you're average, whether you're mediocre, you still tell it like it is, right? So Cristiano Ronaldo today, what was his rating in your opinion?
I surprisingly, people may be surprised, but I am actually giving Ronaldo a 7 today, and I'll tell you why. Goals win matches. The run he made in front of Max Aarons created that moment for him to do that, and you have to give, even though he did not have the best of game, that moment in which he created was a moment of brilliance because I mean, he used Max naivety to 100 from the moment he felt that pullback on his. Of course, you're gonna go down. That's the way intelligent players do things, and he created that situation for himself. So simply because that was the match winner today, I will maintain and give him a rating of 7. Sancho, for me, even though he was probably the best out of the front three players that started today, I would give Sancho a 6.5, and Marcus Rashford deserves a -1. And that is why Ronaldo looked as yeah. It might
He was
sound
worse than Bruno to you.
he was worse than Bruno, and I'll tell you why. Bruno is poor when he's trying to execute for the team. Marcus Rashford is poor 90% of the time when he's trying to do things on his own and by himself, and that's where I have a problem. If you're not having a decent game, use your players, use your team. I've seen Marcus run into brick walls sometimes. He will pass one player and then try to run past another two and lose the ball and then not even run.
Let me interject, Tonio, before I hand it off to Greg B. Right, I've always told people the difference between Marcus Rashford and Kylian Mbappe is decision making. That's all. Both of them have the speed. Both of them have the speed. Both of them have the trickery and flair, and both of them can beat defenders. But it's just decision making. Tonio gives Marcus Rashford a -1. It's a bit harsh, but I'll give him a 2. Right? So, but back to Ronaldo. So far, Tonio has given his rating. So has Devin. I'll go up to Ref. What's your take on Ronaldo's performance today out of 10?
I completely agree with Tonio. It's a 7 because Ronaldo uses experience to create that moment. It was purely based on experience because the game wasn't going anywhere, and he was like, okay, it wasn't going anywhere, and he needed just, it wasn't the trickery and the flair and all of that. It was just pure brains that created that moment. And I mean, Ronaldo from his spot, you could bet your house on that. So yeah, I'll take the 7 for winning the game, for creating that moment to win the game.
Chad doesn't agree. Chad's saying a 5.
Greg B, you have the final say on Ronaldo's performance.
Yeah, you just like putting me in the last situation. It's like a shootout. I'm the guy that rests. This whole thing rests on. You see how you are. Anyway,
the fifth taker to win the tournament, to win the Euros.
Right? I'm just hoping I don't have a John Terry moment. But I'm sorry. But yeah, no, Ronaldo, I would say a 6. I mean,
okay.
It's not.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't have the greatest of games, but he wasn't. It's not for the want of trying. There were instances like Tony mentioned when he did the cutback. I think had he not taken the second one and just probably let off the shot before, it might have ended up being a 1-0, and we could have probably cruised from there. But today, he really looked like he was off, and a lot of us would say, yeah, the penalty. Clutch players show up in clutch moments. It's typical of Ronaldo. It's basically the story of his career. You need a goal, you know who to call. So in retrospect, outside of that, there wasn't anything too outstanding to say that he tore Carroll Road apart and had them on tenterhooks. So I think it was a decent game, but it wasn't a great game. So I think a 6.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I said it was below average for him.
Exactly.
No.
I just think that pairing between when he and Marcus plays together, we always tend to have this problem. When he and Marcus play together, they always tend to have this problem. Ronaldo never has a problem playing with Sancho, but it always seems that when Rashford is on the field, exactly because these players, Rashford needs a facilitator. He's not a facilitator himself.
Yeah,
and that's what the problem is. Ronaldo is kind of the same. And if you're telling me who am I going to choose or who I'm going to put on that paper first between Ronaldo and Rashford, it's always going to be Ronaldo because he's more smarter over the 90 minutes than Rashford is for 10.
Let me tell you what I noticed about Marcus Rashford when it comes to his decision making. A lot of times, he kind of reminds me in a way of like how Arjen Robben used to play at times. The only thing is Arjen Robben would make better decisions.
Yeah.
But
Damn right.
in most
It was the same
instances,
decision every time with Iron Robin.
and that's the thing.
But it
In
worked.
most instances,
It
Ryan
worked.
Robin
You-
will
you knew what
execute
was
it, and
coming.
it usually would come.
You knew it
With
was
Marcus
coming.
Rashford, it's basically going up a dead end a lot of times. And
But
so,
also,
Yeah,
also,
And then he
also,
complains.
but to touch on Iron Robin had also the likes of Ribery to feed off of, right? In terms of that energy,
even
right? And
That's
they
even
had the
fair.
before
ability to swap wings, right?
But
Why
even when he was at
Marcus
Real
Rashford?
Madrid.
Why
Phil, to
Marcus
be fair,
Rashford can't? Why Marcus Rashford can't feed off of Jadon Sancho and have that same energy?
to
Mm.
be to be
Even
fair,
even at Real Madrid, even at Chelsea, Robin had players. Robin had
to be fair,
facilitators.
to be fair though, even though Robert had those players, a lot of times he may not necessarily have looked for them, because there were a
True,
lot of games, especially when he was at Bayern Munich. He would try to change the game of his own. I remember the 2010
true,
quarterfinal against us at Old
true.
Trafford. His goal literally took us out, and
True.
he didn't link up with
Yeah.
Ribery then, did he? So
No, but even if, but you remember that Bayern Munich squad, and like what you told, he had facilitators.
yeah,
Iron
but he
Robin had
literally dribbled
facilitators.
past our right side in that game. He left Raphael for dead.
Yes, is
And
Raphael.
just went
Is
just
As
Raphael.
much
on the left
as
hand
much as I would like to talk about Bayern Munich, let's talk about Bayern Munich of now, and they've handed the sword to Barcelona. But that is for a different program. Okay. Thank you very
Lewandowski showed
much,
up
the
like the
panel.
Undertaker.
I will go through a couple more comments before we end the stream. President Chad is saying, does anyone think the extra energy Ronaldo puts out to press is affecting his finishing? I don't think so.
Good question. Good question.
But that we can also
I don't
discuss
think
that.
That's a very
Carlton
good
is
question.
saying maybe Rashford cannot handle being a role player.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
President Chad is saying 5. Ronaldo was at 4 at best. Okay, everyone has their opinion on Ronaldo today.
Ronaldo
Right?
would have been a 4 today if it was not for the fact that he scored.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's it.
Falling
We have
down,
2 points
falling
because
down.
we have 2 points because of
That
him.
doesn't agree with your comment, Tony, about how when Aaron's
He
Falling
may
down
not
with the
agree,
Manchester
and he may not agree, but I'll say this: as much as David saved today, if Ronaldo didn't score, this game would have been on. Sure, the reason why we have 3 points on the board is
Yeah,
because of CR7, and I have been one of his biggest critics. I've been one of his biggest critics, but facts is facts. Facts is facts. Goals win games.
I
And
still
he did that
think
today.
I still think De Gea had a bigger impact on this match than Ronaldo did today.
They have.
I can see where you're going with that, Dev. I can see where you're going with
I can see where Devin is going with it, but I can also see
I
Tonio's
can
perspective.
understand. I can
Yeah.
understand Devin's point. I can
I think we
understand.
can split it evenly. I think we can split it evenly because
No.
they both
Yeah.
have their contributing factors. Because at the end of the day, we ain't winning the game without the goal, and we ain't winning the game with the head and make those saves. So
Without
I think
the saves. Agreed.
everything kind of balances out each other in that regard.
Yeah,
So it's almost like Ronaldo gave us the 3 points, but David De Gea stopped us from having just 1 point. It's almost like that, right?
Offense gets the
Yeah,
glory, but defense
David De Gea stopped us
Agreed.
from
Agreed.
getting no points today.
Agreed.
Guys, we have come to the end of the breakdown. The ref, Devin, Tonio, Greg, thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to give us your analysis on Norwich 0, Manchester United 1. I'm Big Phil, and this is the end of the breakdown.